for a few
Mhm.
days coming off of the storm running up the East Coast.
Right.
Nice. It's going to be cool, but we're having sunshine for the next few days. So remember,
Oh, beautiful.
we're in our fall season and
Yeah,
leaves are starting to change, which is always amazing and beautiful.
it's the
Um,
best. It really is. Like
it is. It's gorgeous, but we're good. We're good here. Thank
I,
you.
I turn into such a little kid when I see dried leaves. I'm still like, I have to go crunch them. I have to go crunch them.
I know. I really miss when my girls were young and the property we have trees everywhere, huge. I
Oh,
mean, several 100-year-old trees. And we used to make the leaf piles and just I still jumped in them because but they get all in your hair, but it's so much fun. I
it's
miss
so
that.
fun. I don't
And
think there's anyone who doesn't like fall. Like
I
it's
know.
such a magical season. It really is.
I know. I
But
know.
okay, I'm quite excited about today's episode because as we mentioned at the outset with the whole package, it's really about approaching wellness from a holistic point of view. And we've already spoken a little bit about diets and exercise and how to approach that mentally. But we were thinking today about having a discussion around how breath work and meditation can actually be used to drive your wellness and fitness journey. Um, Before I kind of share my experience with that, Laura, have you ever had something where you've noticed if you focusing more on the softer aspects that it helps the hard training, so to speak?
Yeah, so this is very interesting, and we could do a whole podcast on this. I went into acupuncture when I was a kid, young adult, and really got into acupuncture for many different reasons. But one of them was I was told in various ways to slow down my workout. I used to rollerblade, power walk, and I have a lot of energy. So I push and I go at things with a lot of tenacity. And when I studied Tai Chi for a little bit, when I started working on meditation and being aware of breath before I
Hmm.
executed a skill, it absolutely changed the whole experience of the process of taking care of my body, connecting to my muscles, my fibers, the fascia. I started feeling my body more fully when I practice the breathing. And I do this now more than just jumping in. I breathe, and even if I feel myself being really pumped up and having a lot of energy, I stop for a minute and I slow down and I think about what am I actually doing? What muscles am I using? How am I connecting the movement, right, to the experience? And I really do put a lot of mind thought into it. And as I train my clients in our neuromuscular training facility, aside from everything else we do, um, it has shifted for them because a lot of us go to the gym and we pump it up, or we're on
Right.
a treadmill and there's a lot of energy behind it and we're not connecting, which is why people get very sore, why they don't have a lot of mobility, and certainly why there's a lot of injuries.
Yes, absolutely. And I kind of noticed this because, funny enough, I was having a discussion with my partner the other day, and we're just talking about training and stuff and how I grew up. And one thing that I noticed through my studies and whatnot is because of the fact that I was basically bedridden for most of my childhood, right? I never really developed that kinesthetic quotient that most people have. So nowadays, like if a friend asks me to go play ball on the beach, right, I can throw the ball, but I have to really think about it. I have to
Mm,
actually like consciously imagine how I'm going to do this. Where most people, because they've been doing this their whole lives, just pick
right.
up the ball and throw it, right? It's muscle memory, it's all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But the beautiful thing about that then became when I started to get active and get into the gym and start training and start working out and exploring different avenues of training. I then started to recognize my shortfalls and I started to explore how to fix them. And the one thing that came out was actually meditation. using meditation to create a mind body connection so that you
Mm,
stay in the moment more fully.
yeah.
And I remember the day that it really like clicked for me. I was in the gym and I was doing an exercise, but I sunk into meditation as I was doing the exercise, where I was not just focusing on, my breathing or anything like that. I was actually focusing on what the muscle fibers were feeling like as they're contracting and releasing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was probably the best workout of my entire life because I walked out, it felt like I had done probably 500 more sets than I actually had done because it just that intensity was really there. And I spoke to a friend of mine who is a bodybuilding coach, and he said, "Well, this is the thing that people don't realize. The top level bodybuilders, because of their posing practice and what they have to do,
Yeah.
their mind is constantly connecting to the individual muscles, and then that same mind body connection occurs when they're now working out. And you'll hear this. A lot of bodybuilders will say, I don't need to meditate because the gym is my meditation. And I
Right.
always thought that, oh, that's just bro science. Like, that's silly. That doesn't mean anything. Until I actually did it, and I realized, no, they're right. That they're so in the moment that that meditation, that movement meditation, is actually creating a better physical response than if you just lift the weight and put it down.
Yeah, absolutely. And think about gymnast. So for those who are new to the Shift and Co, my brother Chris, the founder and the creator of the Science of Empowerment, the formula within the book that I wrote. He's a former USA Olympic gymnastics coach. So I really was privy to a very unique way of viewing training in the gym around my brother. And when you see a gymnast get ready for the execution of that skill, and they really are considered the strongest athletes on the
Mm,
planet because of the force of rotation and gravity with all what they do. So it's not about lifting a weight, but if you look at the velocity behind the running and then the rotation and the flips and everything, the they're moving so much more than we are and landing,
yes.
and you can see the mind body connection before they go. You can catch it. Now if you're just watching them on TV, or if you ever have gone to an event, the live events are amazing. I think like the Visa Cup in Florida, they used to have it, and you can feel what they're connecting to, and there's a moment, or it could be 3 seconds sometimes, but they know how to go into that state, and we view it
Yes.
as kind of the champion state, but it really is that, because that moment, or that those few seconds, and when you see them in actual practice at the gym, it is what you're talking about, because they have to be so prepared. Most of the skills they do, they actually it could be fatal when they land. So there is such a
Yeah.
connectivity with the mind and the body, and understanding the mechanisms of how it works. So when they land, they don't blow out or injure, their neck, become paralyzed, all of those things. And I'm not saying that other sports don't have that, but
Of
this
course, yeah.
is really, yeah, 10x. And there is something about slowing the mind down, slowing the breath work down, to really make that connection of what's to come. And for most of us, we're taught, it's really bred in us to go in the gym and just become like, tap into the animalistic aspect of ourself.
Right.
It really is. And there's a place, for that. And I think there's a time for it. But I mean, think about how funny this would look if you had a bunch of really massive guys like getting ready to, pump the iron, and they're all like, getting ready. It would be kind of funny, but it really does shift. And listen, we talk about this in all of our podcasts, the mind body consciousness connection. There is a reason why for a long time in ancient history and new modern knowledge that we're tapping into this. There's an important connection to it all. And when it comes to really working out the body and being healthy in that execution, breath work and mind work only magnifies um, really the complete experience of being in the gym. And a side note, I personally don't even listen to music when I work out, which people who know me, I've been a
Mm.
dancer my whole life. They're like, what? But I will listen to chants and certain things when I work out because I was a ballerina, the fluidity. So I tell myself
Uh,
always that I'm between a ballerina and like a ninja gymnast. So I find this strength but through more
marvelous.
fluidity. So even when you're lifting weights, and I teach my clients this, there's a grace to it. And when they tap into the grace of the movement, they're watching their joints, the way you're holding your wrist. It's all these nuances that actually will make you stronger, will make you more flexible when you slow it down through some of the um, addeds that we're talking about right now.
There's such a lot to be said for that because, and everybody who's watching our shows will often hear us talk about polarity and yin and yang and all that kind of stuff. But it's so interesting that you brought that up about the fluidity and the slowing it down portion because we're used to going to the gym and seeing people like throwing weights around and moving quickly through their exercises and that sort of thing. And there is a place for that. That's very important, right? There's you have to do certain movements that are fast in order to hit. I think it's, if I remember correctly, if you move fast, you're hitting the slow twitch muscle fibers, and if you're moving slow, you're hitting the fast twitch, which I can never
Yeah.
quite understand. But anyway, so um, but what we often neglect is that slowing it down portion. And I actually tried to work out the one day, and the trainer said to me, "We're gonna do an exercise," and he hands me a weight. I went, um, not to kind of toot my own horn, but that's going to be a little bit light. And he goes, "No, no, just do this weight. It's fine." I'm like, "Okay." He goes, "And you're only doing 10 reps. If you can manage 10 reps," he says. Like, it's really like, okay. And he goes, here's the caveat though. Your tempo is going to be a count of 5 going up and a count of 5 going down.
Oh,
I managed 5 reps. I didn't even get the full 10 down before
yeah.
I was just finished. Now the weight he'd given me is a weight that is not even a quarter, not probably 10% of what I normally would use in that particular exercise. I think it was bench press. But just in this particular instance, that slowing it down and the concentration. And then so the first set he said, okay, just do it at the tempo. And then the second set, he goes, now we're going to do the exact same thing, but this time I'm actually going to put my fingers on your pecs and you're going to focus on where my fingers are. Dear God, I think I made it through 2 reps.
Yeah.
Just the focus plus the tempo changed what my body was able to do.
This is
One of the best workouts I've had.
this is such an empowering discussion right here for everyone that comes across this episode to take this practice into your next workout. So we do that. We tap. So if we're whatever muscle we're doing, there's always a tap. And
Right.
that is immediately to put the mind right to that area. And you will be amazed at, even if you don't understand it and you do it, there's an internal knowing, and that's where it begins. And that's what we constantly just tapping the body. Even my clients will start kind of slapping the parts of the body that we're doing, and then you go into the movement. And this is such a wonderful example of slowing it down. It doesn't matter. Even if you're doing a 10-pound bar and a military press over your head, slowing it down and extending it all the way up, breathe, and then pulling it back down, whether you're doing an over and under grip, changes everything. This is
Mm,
why the Jekyll Athletes, which is the neuromuscular training facility, This is why when we go to our local sports and we see kids playing soccer, basketball, baseball, football, almost everyone that is on the field outperforms the kids that don't train at our facility because
Yep.
of the way the neuromuscular training is the foundation of what this is. Very quick, cool story for any baseball fans out in the world. Um, George Strait, who is the MVP for the Astros, my brother trained and rehabbed him. And he was a great player. And then when he came out of an injury after my brother rehabbed him out on our big ESPN, which is all over the world there, they knew, they were like, what is going on? Everything about him just 10x. And they started talking about what is this Jekyll training that he did. And it's because it's the neuromuscular training. It goes deeper in. So for everyone, next time you go, even if you're on the treadmill, no matter what you're on, pay attention to your stride, pay attention to the movement, elongate your muscles, elongate the tendons and the ligaments, slow it down a moment. And we're not talking about when you're going in to push for cardio and the burn, take everything we're saying and put it in its right, moment. But you will be amazed at how differently you feel doing a workout when you are connecting to the mind and the body differently than, like you said, just going in and doing those short pump range movements.
And I've noticed in my own training, because so over time, like having seen that, I looked into other methodologies as well, which is why I love having these chats with you, because you actually have the formal training, and then there's me who's just kind of done my little bit of dabbling and looking around as to what kind of training is out there.
Right.
But I looked at three things actually and how to combine them. So the one is, and I keep forgetting the term, it's not calisthenics, it's isometric workouts, where basically like what bodybuilders do when they're doing their posing training, you focus on one muscle and tensing it at just the right angle so that you actually get a workout even without weight. And then I was like, how would I put that into, say, a yoga flow or a qigong flow in order to get a full workout whilst in movement? And I tried it the one day, only to then find out that I had not stumbled across anything new. Proper qigong masters have been training this for generations, except they just do it the other way around. And there's actually a wonderful channel on YouTube with there's a German Shaolin school where Chinese masters have actually immigrated to Germany, and they do training, and they put a lot of their videos and the flows up online.
Oh,
And I watched the one talk, and the Shifu was saying there that when you do the training, this was specifically for what they call tendon change training, and it's what Shaolin monks have to do before they learn Iron Body, right? And it's different movements specifically designed to strengthen the tendons, not the muscles, specifically so that then the body is able to handle higher loads,
yeah.
right? Which makes sense because, as so many of my friends who are gym freaks will attest to, they all have had something tear at some point. Their bicep has
Yes.
torn off,
Yes.
shoulders, all this kind of stuff. And then
Yeah.
when you look into it, they're like, it's because the muscle is strong enough to do the exercise, the
Yes.
tendon is not, right?
Yeah, that's important. That's a really great, yeah, bit of knowledge to add in. And I just want to correct something because I was speaking a bit faster. If anyone, it's George Springer, because I know people will want to
Ah,
know. And here, yeah, here in the States, everyone knows George Springer, the Astros. But just out in case I had said George Strait because I was looking at something on my notes. So I'm so sorry. I was doing
no,
two.
no worries at all.
But that is what it, again, part of what the Shift and Co is about is really bringing in layers of new knowledge so that all of our community can take these very for me, these golden nuggets of what we share throughout all the podcast and apply them to your life. We really want to help empower everyone. And so, even if you take one thing away from each discussion, and today is for me, this is so much fun because we all love movement. Someone may
Mm,
power walk, someone, like you said, they could be just an absolute gym rat. Someone could, love hiking. But no matter where you go in the world, no matter what we do, if you think about that, and you said even just picking up a ball, if you throw the ball differently because you connected to throwing the ball, your experience of throwing the ball is going to be more. And this is what
yes.
we're trying to instill through this knowledge and information. Connect deeper into everything you do. This is how you begin to create an empowered life. It's not just going to the gym and throwing weights around. And we're not saying that everyone's doing that, but we all understand what it is. I got to get in, I got to get my workout done, I've got to get home, cook dinner, whatever it may be. Slow it down and enjoy the process of a bit more. Even if you allowed yourself 5 minutes more, and that's 1 minute with five skills or five different things you're doing, you're going to feel the benefit so much more. The oxygen in, the breath work in, the focus on the movement is you will become more flexible, more mobile. Your body will thank you for it. And certainly for our listeners that even their late 20s, early 30s, our bodies start shifting as we grow and our bodies are advancing. The care that you show yourself now while you're working out will make or break your health and your wellness in your 40s, 50s, and 60s. So if you're, constantly
Yeah.
having, it, like you said, your shoulders bothering you, your elbows, your joints, of course, we all know what people's knees, the
Mm,
ankles, all of these, the joints around the workout too. And by really focusing and building, as you said, the tendon health is going to help the rest of the body. So the muscles are one thing, but there's so much more that's going on in there. And just creating a
mm.
moment, even if you sit in your car literally for 60 seconds and breathe and get your mind connected to your body. So when you walk in, and again, sometimes we walk in the gym and it is just pumping with energy and you can feel that, but don't lose that connection to what you're really there for. And that is the wellness and the wholeness of who you are, how you're experiencing taking care of your body. And you do that through mind awareness. And that's really important. And it will really change the way you experience overall health.
You said something that I really want to grab hold of. It's the wholeness of the experience
Yeah.
because there's so much more than just going to the gym and getting your 45-minute or hour workout in, right?
Right.
Um, I remember recently I decided to just do a little experiment because I said to my trainer, listen, we're going to do legs. That was it. We're going to do legs. And the week before, we'd done a really hectic chest session, and my chest was sore for a week, which it never has been before, but it was because he'd done different exercise that I've never tried before. So the following week, I said to him, I didn't tell him I was going to run this experiment, but I said, right, what you did with my chest, though, I now want to do with the legs. Like, I want to almost not be able to walk for a week. Like, I want to see how far you can push me today. And dear God, Laura, he pushed me hard. It was rough. It was really rough. We were doing like I think he made me do 5 sets on leg extension, for instance, but each set was longer. So it started off with 30 reps, then it was 50 reps, then it was
Yeah.
75 reps, and it was 100 reps. I'm like, I honestly thought I was not going to be able to walk out the gym.
Law of attraction.
I was like, this is not sure I'm going to be able to walk anywhere ever again. But anyway, uh,
Oh gosh.
that night I got home and I decided to do a qigong flow that involves light self massage very light.
Mhm.
Okay. And it's actually more aimed at lymph drainage than anything else. So it's aimed at getting the lymphatic system to really start to, that circulatory system to work better. Did that. And then I did a short meditation. And when I say short, it was 5, 10 minutes long, where I just did some deep breathing. But I also imagined this beautiful light just settling into my body and healing everything, just everything. Went to gym the next day, and my trainer goes, "You look like you're okay. How are you okay?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm a little bit stiff, but not like super sore." He's like, "Don't worry. You're gonna have the DOMS tomorrow, delayed onset muscle soreness. For those who don't know, sorry."
Right.
He's like, "You're gonna have the DOMS tomorrow because it's normally 2 days, so we'll see how you feel tomorrow." The next day, I was sprinting up and down the stairs, absolutely no pain whatsoever,
Um,
perfectly fine. And he's like, "I don't understand. We pushed really hard." He's like, "Either you were lying to me and you could have done more, or I don't know what else to say." And I just thought in my head, I'm going, it's that little experiment I tried.
yeah.
And that's what I mean by the wholeness, because we know we're supposed to stretch, we know we're supposed to do all these different things. But again, if you bring the mind into it
Yeah.
and you tell yourself you are healed, you are going to be fine, everything's going to be great. I've always been the kind of person who suffers with delayed onset muscle soreness. Every single workout I get, the just the what's it called, the not the it's acid, right?
Yeah.
The
The build
Yeah,
up,
the buildup.
the lactic acid.
Thank you. The lactic acid buildup is insane with me. It always has been. And now that I know about these other aspects that I can bring into it, breath work, the meditation, the qigong, that gentle movement to start to get everything flowing again, my recovery time is that much faster. And again, I realized that because when I went back to that same channel, the the Sifu on there said, because Shaolin monks, the training that they go through is so intense. It's ultra level
Yes.
athlete workouts that they do on a daily basis. There is no time off. There are no rest days. There's no, oh, you need time for recovery. He's like, recovery is you and a bamboo brush
Yeah.
massaging yourself, and that's it. That's what you get. That and good nutrition. And your meditation and your qigong and your breath work obviously filters into that.
I think
Yeah.
this is also again for most of us it's like many things in life, unless you are interested, unless you study, it's a challenge to understand really what's at work here, which
Mm,
again is which I why I just the Shift and Co is such a great place to gather for this information, because we really are covering from head to toe so
literally
many, we
everything.
really are. And you can pick up these again these beautiful containers of new knowledge based on a lot of ancient, I mean, look, how many places can you go where we're talking about, the monks and how they move their bodies to a level of resonation so that they can hold, right, that structure of enlightenment. And now you're learning that you can tap into a moment of that practice to actually up level your own workout in the gym, or as I said, even if you're a very busy parent, guardian, and you're working full time and you've got kids and a dog and all of that, and you have a 20-minute walk in your neighborhood, now go into that monk mindset. Now bring things into your body, right? Remind yourself that I'm a whole being, that there are these layers to how I'm thinking, how I'm moving through the practice of my day. And when it comes into the really working out, give yourself, even if it is 5 minutes before and 5 minutes after, and you will be amazed at how you can pull in those extra 10
Oh
minutes,
yeah.
stretch, quiet your mind, and stretch your body before and after. This begins the messaging system within your body, just like you did. you're letting your body know, I'm acknowledging you, what I've just done. I'm putting time into the healing part of the whole experience. Your body will respond to that self-care. And this is so important.
This is it. The body responds to self-care. And you said something, was it? No, I can't remember if it was on a podcast or one of our strategy sessions. So apologies to our audience, but I'll repeat it anyway. Um, you mentioned at one point that we forget that our cells, the physical cells in our body, hear what our intention is.
Yeah.
We forget that the power of thoughts and the power of self-suggestion is so incredibly strong that self-care is not just eating healthy, lifting weights, going for a jog. It's how we talk to ourselves. I'm strong, I'm powerful, I'm healthy, I'm wealthy.
Yeah. Yeah. The abundance of empowerment, right? The wealth of self. This is
Hmm.
what we're imparting to everyone. It really is. And I write about this in the Science of Empowerment. Even if you don't understand, right, new sciences, ancient technologies, even if you don't understand epigenetics, if you don't understand cellular messaging, it is okay. Just open your mind, expand your mind to the what ifs. What if my cells could hear my inner thought? What if my mind messages my biology and I actually have authorization over the balance of everything I'm thinking and doing? What if? And go into that exploration and go into it with that vigor of what if. And then all of a sudden, you will start to experience what the mind does, what the body hears, how all of this beautiful homeostasis works. This is what we're trying to express to you. And look, we can do it whether we're talking about financial abundance, whether we're talking about working out at the gym, whether we're talking about sense and sexuality, our next podcast, right? We're covering all of it because we are whole beings. And when you allow yourself the moments to tap into this knowing, your life will begin to change in a way that honestly you probably yet have imagined it to. There's a reason why the connectivity is so important and why you're hearing people such as ourselves, individuals around the globe, talking about this very important connection because it changes everything.
I want to come back to what you just said there about actually the change, how you can shift yourself, right? How you can start to evolve and grow and all the rest of it. Because we say this all the time on the Shift and Go and on our various podcasts. You as our audience are getting to actually see the shifts in us in real time. As we're starting to share our information, share our knowledge, share our wisdom, share the studies that we are currently doing, because we're not going, oh, we're an expert on anything. We're sharing with our audience exactly what we know, what we're studying, what we're researching, all of that, and what we're applying into our lives, what's working, what's not, etc.
Yeah.
I'm loving that because my own health journey, as a lot of people know, has been a little bit tumultuous this year, right? A little bit up and down. But I'm loving the contrast as well. I'm loving how all of this has pushed me back into getting in touch with my physical, with my body. Because last year I was very much about the soul connection, meditating all the time. I would do on a Saturday, I would every Saturday I would do, I think it was 2.5 hours, yeah, 3 hours, 3 hours of breath work, followed by, no, sorry, I'll restart. I would start off with an hour of Qigong, then I would do an hour of yoga, then I would do 3 hours of breath work, followed by an hour of meditation. That was every Saturday for me. It was amazing. It was incredible. I really started to be able to hear that inner voice a lot more clearly. This year, I'm seeing how that inner voice is pushing me to reconnect with my physical body. And as I'm doing that, I'm starting to almost literally hear my body speaking to me about what it wants and needs.
Mm.
So, something that you and I discussed this week off camera was I started to play around with my medication a bit under my doctor's guidance, of course, in terms of trying to wean myself off a little bit. And within no time at all, my bloating came back, and I was like, oh, this is just not great. Must be my water retention. Can't figure out how it's happening. Must be allergic to something. Started cutting out dairy or cutting down on dairy, cutting down on alcohol, cutting wheat out of my diet, and it was still there. And last week, I started to get a little bit of anxiety around a few things. And I was like, where is this coming from? I'm not quite sure what's going on here. And I went for a walk on the beach and just literally started to try and listen inwardly.
Mm.
And two things came out. The first thing was my body wants to take some time off of gym. It doesn't want to take time off of training. If anything, it wants to train harder, but it doesn't want to be in gym at this point in time. It doesn't want to be doing weights. It's because I did notice over the last 3 months, I started to pick up little niggling injuries here and there.
Yeah.
And my body is now going, right, you need to get back into movement work. You need to get back into your yoga, back into ring work and more gymnastic type flows
Right.
to really strengthen those tendons, release the fascia, release the tight muscles and that sort of thing that I tend to pick up in gym. Because when I go to gym, I like lifting really heavy, stupid weights. It's just who
Mhm.
I am, right?
That's a manly thing.
It is. What can I say? I
Some
love it. I
girls
absolutely love
too.
it.
Yep, and some girls too.
Yeah, some girls too. It's just it for me. It's really fun. But yeah, if you're not doing the supporting work, it can cause injuries and that sort of thing. But the second thing that came out was, and it was the oddest realization. My body suddenly went, I don't want coffee anymore. And
Mm.
coffee for me is part of my morning ritual. Every morning, black coffee, pinch of cinnamon on top. The smell, the aroma, everything just
Mm.
tells me your day has now started. So I was like, really? You don't want coffee anymore? I'm not sure how we're going to do with this, but okay. And I think I told you, like, I cut it out and my bloating is gone. Just like that. Overnight.
And if you remember, I was telling you, depending on where the coffee beans come from,
Yes.
there really tends to be a lot of mold within the coffee beans. That's another whole discussion, but and coffee can be amazing for you, right? David Asprey, the bulletproof coffee, and putting
Yep.
grass-fed butter and MCT oils. I think that's an individual journey there. I personally love the smell of coffee, especially when you're either away staying with friends or, when
Mm.
we go skiing and someone's got coffee. I love the smell, but I do not drink it. My body has never wanted coffee. I think it's because I'm really hyper, anyways, and it probably would just send me literally off
Right.
the roof. I'm not kidding. I drank like one time I had like four espressos with where everyone was just enjoying the night, and I someone just like injected me with speed. It was not good. But I
It's
think
insane.
again, yes, this is part of the beauty of the empowerment behind Shift and Co. It's letting everyone know that we are moving and advancing with the community. We are looking for ways to soften our life while we're
Mm.
creating and building, and we're sharing things that work for us. And I know I do this in the world, and I know Stefan, you do too. We we research out beyond our present environment so that we can see what resonates with us, what feels correct. And even if something, is I'm not too sure about that, but there's something there, then explore it, because you will create your own version of that information. You will begin to, again, this is in the science of empowerment, create an internal living library of information. And this is why the Shift and Co is the place to go, because we really have such a beautiful arrangement of knowledge, of information, but you're getting it from real people who aren't telling you how to be, who to be. We're just sharing what we're finding works for us. And it's this beautiful alchemy of mind body connection. It's all
Mhm.
in the consciousness of what we're doing. And when you tap into that internal mechanism, like you just expressed, listening to that voice, listening to instinct and following it, you will be amazed at how correct, how in alignment you really are to your own knowing. But we get so busy and we get so layered under stuff that we've lost that guidance system. So this is why we want you to stay with us. Visit all the podcasts, take everything we're saying, and then, oh, Stefan just mentioned about these monks. Where was it? What are they saying? What are they doing? That sounds pretty cool. Oh, Laura was talking about the importance of when you're doing a skill. And as you even said, have a count to it. There's so much here that if you begin to apply these moments of knowledge, your whole life will just absolutely expand and really become empowered.
What I also love is the fact that, as you said there, the common thread through absolutely everything that we talk about in all five podcasts is all about consciousness,
Yeah.
right? Even when we're talking about wealth and wealth creation, I mean,
Yeah.
the show itself is called The Wealthy Mindset, right? It's all about consciousness. It's all about adding that which has been missing for so long to create better leverage so that you reach your goals that much faster.
Yeah,
Because,
that's beautiful the way you just said that too.
oh, thank you. Well, I can't take all the credit for that. I actually saw a TikTok this morning by a gentleman that I follow in the business space, and he was talking specifically about, he hates when he hears these gurus who are basically trying to show that they work so much harder than everybody else. Nobody can
Right,
outwork me, you know. And the thing
right.
is, there's no way that you can lead a balanced life
No.
if you're working 24/7 on one thing. If you're working 24/7 on your body, where do you have time to bring money in? If you're working 24/7 on your business, when do you have time to be consciously intimate with your partner? If
Yeah.
you're working 24/7 on your relationship, where do you have time for work on yourself?
Right.
Right? So balance has to come into it. But if you're balanced, the question then arises, how much work needs to be put in for you to become a superstar creator in your life? And the
Right.
answer is, if you bring in that consciousness, you're able to create better leverage for the effort you're putting in order to expand that out so much faster.
And really, don't overwhelm yourself with the time needed. It's moments of application of new
Mm.
knowledge, new connectivity. So if you are a very busy person, don't feel like you've got to carve out and get up at 4:30 a.m. to meditate for an hour. Get up 15 minutes earlier. Just find a quiet place, whether you're in silence or you put some soft music on. Give yourself 15 minutes. And this is all I do. And allowing myself to be transparent, both Stefan and I were wanting to do specific things last week. And because we're talking about balance, finding those 15 minutes, even for me right now in this very creative space, was challenging. But then I realized, hold up, it's only 15 minutes. You have made room for many things in your life. And sometimes we have to release certain aspects of our life that are not working and exchange them, shift forward into what will better serve us. So let's say you got up and you made a cup of coffee and you fill in the blank. Now, maybe you will shift away from the coffee drinking and take that 10, 15 minutes when you used to drink your coffee, and now you will meditate. And you will be amazed at when you begin to exchange old behaviors for new exploration into, as you said, leverage this forward momentum, this empowered life that you are going to create. Don't overwhelm yourself with all of the time moments. So 15 minutes of meditation. Maybe you can't get to the gym every day right now, but you can take a 10-minute power walk in the morning or one after dinner. When you begin to connect to the consciousness of the wholeness of who
Mhm.
you are, you will be amazed at how time begins to free up for you. You naturally release things that no longer serve your highest and best. I'm not saying there won't be a moment of challenge in that shifting, but it does take place. Give yourself time and space for this to happen. But take on something that you've wanted to do that your instinct is telling you is important and good for you, and start to bring it in, and let something go that isn't as necessary or important.
That seems like a perfect place for us to end off today. I love that. I think that is the one nugget I want everybody to take away today, actually, as part of a challenge for next week, is exactly what Laura just said. Bring that consciousness in and start to just witness the unfolding of
Mm,
how your consciousness starts to create space for you to be able to grow.
yes.
Just, yeah.
Yeah,
So perfect.
yeah.
So perfect. Right. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, as always, all our links to our social media are in the description, as well as the link to purchase Laura's book, The Science of Empowerment. Starting next week, oh, I can't believe this is happening, but starting next week, you will also be able to see links to book free strategy sessions with both Laura and myself,
Mm,
as we're starting to expand what the Shift and Co. is able to do for our audience. So we're looking forward to sharing that with everyone.
mm.
Um, I think
And
that, oh,
really,
yes,
yeah, I was going to
yeah,
add, like and share, but just don't
yes.
like and share. Bring a friend on. Start like a
Mm,
small group of friends where you listen to these during the week. And then on a Saturday or Sunday, create a Zoom. Or if you're local, meet, have a cup of coffee or tea, go for a walk, talk about the language that we're sharing with you, talk about the information, and really create an empowered movement for yourself and your family and your friends, and come in with us every week, every podcast, and start to explore your own mind body connection, to your movement of consciousness awareness. It really will create such a cool life.
uh, ex- could not have said it better myself. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. We will see you again next week, same time, same place. We are back in literally 2 minutes with the Empowered Tarot podcast, where we're going to be doing a reading on the energy for next week. And Laura's going to share a beautiful power quote just to help keep us centered and balanced as we move into that energy as well. So we'll catch everybody on the flip side, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye now. Bye.